In-game purchases are nothing new, and despite the unbridled rage the thought of them generally fills me with, I can wholly understand why people don't mind dropping a couple of quid here and there for a slightly better gun or snazzy new outfit for their character. Some items, however, are quite uncommon, and as such, command a rather hefty price tag. I'm not talking in-game currency either, I mean actual real-world dollary dues. For this list, we're looking at some of the most valuable in-game items and trying to wrap our heads around what might possess people to make such an excessive purchase. Be they weapons, cosmetic items, or eggs. We'll get to that. They may not necessarily be the most expensive items ever, but they are more expensive than most, and we will be limiting items to one per game, otherwise we'd end up just filling the entire list with knives from CSGO. So, strap in boys and girls, because we're about to take a journey through a world of luxury and extravagance. I'm the incredibly rare and costly Peter from TripleJump, and here are 10 ridiculously expensive in-game items. Number 10. The Blue Party Hat, RUNESCAPE, $9,000. To some, the paper party hat is a representation of festive cheer, Christmas crackers, and slightly dry turkey. To others, though, it's a flimsy reminder of how much they hate family gatherings. I think what we can probably all agree on, however, is that they're not a particularly pricey item, right? Right? Well, if you're a fan of MMORPG, or massively multiplayer online role-playing game, if you want to get less abbreviated about this, RUNESCAPE, you're going to have to save up all of your pennies if you wish to adorn your character with a party hat, particularly the blue one. Released during a seasonal event back in 2001, these special items would drop, rather fittingly, from Christmas crackers. As the years have gone on, naturally the headwear has become more and more difficult to come by, to the point where purchasing one today could cost you as much as 9,000 real dollars. No, hang on, that can't be right. Have we got the comma in the wrong place? Okay, no, we haven't. Okay, terrific. And to clarify, the hat itself doesn't actually do anything beyond just being a hat. It doesn't provide your character any sort of protection or damage buffs. It's literally just a cosmetic item that you stick on your virtual head to tell the world you have more money than sense. Number 9. REVENANT SUPERCARRIER, EVE Online, $9,000. Allegedly, in space, no one can hear you scream, which is fortunate because when you discover how much it costs to invest in one of EVE Online's starships, there's likely to be a great deal of shrieking into the void. Set in the vast nothingness of space, EVE Online is an MMO that allows players to immerse themselves in crafting, battles, and even a complex in-game economy. Part of said economy is the bustling marketplace that allows players to buy and sell a vast array of items, including, but not limited to, starships. These can vary in size from tiny frigates, good for disrupting and harassing enemies, all the way up to titans, which are effectively huge mobile battle stations. The bigger your ship, the heftier the price tag, so it's no surprise that one of the largest, the REVENANT SUPERCARRIER, commanded a pretty penny on the marketplace. Sources vary when it comes to how much one player actually shelled out for the REVENANT SUPERCARRIER, but they all seem to agree on two things. Firstly, the buyer paid in excess of $9,000 for the capital class starship, an amount of money that could buy most people a pretty decent second-hand car, and secondly, that the SUPERCARRIER was destroyed not long after. Oh, that's gotta sting. Do you regret not taking the extended warranty yet? Number 8. ZEUZO, I think, World of Warcraft, $9,500. Some might say that half the fun of playing a game like World of Warcraft is the initial grind to get your character to max level, completing all of the necessary quests, picking up the finest of loot, and earning that sweet XP. It turns out that not everyone's a fan of that aspect though, and would much rather just drop a load of cash on a character that someone else has put the time and effort into leveling up. One such character was the elven rogue ZEUZO, whose player had gotten all the way up to level 7 70 and managed to gather some very nice weaponry and armour along the way. Considered the best rogue in the game, ZEUZO's player quickly saw an opportunity to make a bit of cash and sold the elf for an eye-watering sum of $9,500. Sadly, the tale doesn't have a happy ending, as thanks to Blizzard's incredibly strict policy around account selling, ZEUZO's new owner quickly found themselves not only rather light in the wallet department, but without anything to show for it, as the account was very quickly banned and ZEUZO and all of his items destroyed. There's definitely a cautionary tale in here about not taking shortcuts to get what you want in life, and also about how Blizzard are killjoys. Number 7. Burning Flames Team Captain Hat, Team Fortress 2, $12,000 to $16,000. Over the years, Team Fortress 2 has become notable for the vast array of cosmetic items available to players. With each class having their own sunglasses, coats, and various other accessories, it's no surprise there is a subset of fans who will do just about anything to get their hands on the most stylish of adornments. Most of these cosmetic items will set the player back no more than the cost of a cup of coffee, or can even just be earned in-game for free. But the rarest of trinkets can put a considerable dent in even the heftiest of wallets or purses. One such item is the Burning Flames Team Captain Hat, a military-style red cap with a black brim and golden insignia that just so happens to be on fire. If you're lucky enough to come across one of these flaming bonnets, then the drinks are very much on you, as estimates value the item at anywhere between $12,000 to $16,000, depending on market conditions at the time. It's worth remembering, again, that the hat offers nothing to the player beyond looking kind of cool, so you might want to reconsider remortgaging your house or selling your granny to get your hands on one. After all, you wouldn't want to, get burned. Number 6. Echoing Fury Mace, Diablo 3, $14,000. Although the Diablo 3 auction house was fairly short-lived, it gave players the opportunity to purchase powerful weapons and armor sets without having to grind or farm to get them. Many common items sold for a few cents each, but just occasionally a lot would be posted for a mighty rare artifact, and its owner would rake in the cash. One such item was the Echoing Fury Mace, a highly powerful weapon that, due to a damage allocation bug, offered the highest base damage in the game, providing a massive boost to anyone that owned it. It also had a huge chance of fearing enemies on hit, and caused the wielder to go into a frenzy following a kill, increasing attack and movement speed exponentially. The likelihood of it just dropping from an enemy was incredibly low, so if you were desperate to own one, you had two options: spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours farming enemies for it, or shell out an arse ton of cash. Gone for a whopping $14,000, the Echoing Fury Mace was the most expensive item ever sold on the Diablo auction house before its closure in 2014, and we just hope that whoever bought it didn't accidentally give it to Haedrig the Blacksmith to salvage. Number 5. Dragon Slaying Sabre, Age of WUSHU, $16,000. Okay, I can sort of understand what would compel a player to drop big bucks on an in-game item that they know is going to be good. I'll say good and not worth it, because I can think of a whole host of things I'd rather spend several $1,000s on than a digital asset, but, I can sort of grasp their line of thinking. What I can't wrap my head around, however, is spending big on a weapon for a game that hasn't even come out yet. What if the item is fairly rubbish in the grand scheme of things, or, God forbid, what if the game turns out to be ploppers and you don't even want to play it after all that? Clearly, those thoughts didn't go through the mind of the unnamed gamer that spent 16 grand on a highly powerful sword known as the Dragon Slaying Sabre prior to the release of the 2012 martial arts MMORPG Age of WUSHU. Admittedly, the auction was being run by the devs to help raise money for the launch of the game, with several other lots also selling selling for thousands of dollars, but even so, while we are all in favour of crowdfunding, unless a microtransaction is buying me a real-life talking chimpanzee butler, I am not spending $16k on it. Number 4. Ethereal Flames Pink War Dog, Dota 2, $38,000. How much do you reckon you'd be willing to spend on acquiring a pet? A couple of hundred if the adoption fee is high, maybe over 1,000 if it's a fancy pedigree? How about $38,000? Does that sound reasonable? Stop laughing. Why are you laughing? Yes, indeed, dear viewers. One particularly enthusiastic Dota 2 player spent a staggering 38 grand on the Ethereal Flames Pink War Dog back in 2013. Don't worry though, because the War Dog doesn't just look nice, it's functional as well, which is lucky because I was beginning to think that some poor schmuck had dropped 38 big ones on a swanky looking pooch that does nothing but look swanky looking. The pet itself can be used to ferry various things between the player's team and their base, meaning they don't have to trudge all the way back to their camp if they want to pick up or drop an item. Not only this, but there are only 5 of these puppers in existence, so people won't just think you're super cool for having a smashing pet, but they'll also know that you've got an eye for the rarer things in life. That said, they might look at the fact that you spent an insane amount of money on what is just a bunch of pixels and come to an entirely different conclusion about your personality. Just saying. Number 3. Sorry, am I having a stroke? That looks like it says Amsterdam, Second Life, $50,000. Could someone call me an ambulance? Oh boy, here we go. Second Life is a strange sort of game, but we must at least applaud it for getting its name bang on the money. The idea is to create a little virtual version of yourself, and then go about your days participating in social events and sports, practicing religion, and making friends. Probably slightly weird friends, but friends all the same, as well as embroiling yourself in the local economy. Players can buy into Second Life's economy by purchasing Linden dollars, the game's currency, before spending to their heart's content on virtual goods like vehicles, clothing, hairstyles, buildings, and even entire cities. After carefully and painstakingly creating a faithful reproduction of the city of Amsterdam using high-resolution photos, one player put the virtual city on eBay, asking for no less than $50,000. Perhaps more shocking than the fact that someone went to the trouble of recreating Amsterdam in its entirety with all of the tourist attractions it has to offer, is the fact that someone actually bought it with real-world cash. The buyer, who is in fact from the Netherlands, said they made the purchase with the intent of turning the city into a bustling hub for all kinds of players, which is lovely if you don't think too hard about what that might entail. Number 2. Souvenir AWP Dragon Lore Sniper Skin, CSGO, $61,000. You know what? I'm all for people spending money on whatever they want. If you've earned it, you do you, my dude. But even I have to draw the line somewhere. And it turns out that line is drawn just adjacent to spending $61,000 on a special edition sniper rifle skin. Counter-Strike Global Offensive, aka CSGO, is a fairly notorious game when it comes to items commanding high prices, with fancy knives frequently selling for $2,000 or more each, and the M9 bayonet selling for nearly $6 grand. Whilst even these items are far in excess of what I'd be willing to pay, they are, at the very least, functional and likely to give players a competitive edge over their opponents. Then there's the Souvenir AWP Dragon Lore Sniper Skin, a purely cosmetic item that was initially one of a kind, though more have since dropped during major tournaments. Shortly after one lucky player received the very first edition of this skin, they listed it for sale on a CSGO auction site where it went on to earn him 61,000 big American boffos. Sadly for the buyer, whilst still exceptionally rare, the skin is no longer a one-off and can now be purchased for less than $20,000. I bet they feel like a right chump. And number 1, the Nest Egg, Entropia Planet CALYPSO, $69,000. I wish I could say that the nest egg is the most expensive in-game item ever sold, but it isn't even the most expensive thing sold in MMORPG Entropia. It is by far, however, the most ridiculous item ever sold for big money, which is why we decided to give it the top spot on our list. Like we said, this isn't the top 10 most expensive sales, but the 10 most ridiculously expensive in-game items. For those who are wondering, yes, this was just a egg. And do remember the word was there, it's going to become quite important in just a moment. The nest egg was admittedly a one-of-a-kind item, and was the digital spawn of the Aatrox Queen, a big old dinosaur that looks a bit like a T-Rex. I've never played this game, admittedly. Originally, it was acquired by a player for completing a quest, who went on to sell it in 2006 for the tidy sum of $10,000. After it didn't do anything for 4 years, the new owner then sold it on for a staggering and frankly ludicrous sum of $69,000. I feel a bit sick, sorry. And there it sat, just being an egg until 2013 when it hatched. Anyway, I've been Peter from TripleJump, thanks for watching. No, I'm only joking. Let's find out what was inside. Did the owner get a fancy new pet? Was there perhaps a golden treasure inside? Maybe Peter Molyneux emerged and said, "You're now in charge of my game Goddess," which I may or may not be bringing out eventually. Oh no, none of those things. Inside the egg was a demon spawn that formed the basis of a major event during which players had to terminate the beast to keep it from destroying the world. Well, you know what they say, it's like something about omelettes or something, I don't really know, but it's the end of the video now, so it doesn't really matter, does it? See you later.